Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Woo. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Woo. Living loud, think the proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave, every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light, in the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Heard. Will be heard. Will be heard.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at another stream, another live. Of course, you know where you're at. You are Spartan SU Network. I am the host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? We have something a little different tonight. People might think this is more a hangout topic, but it's not. It's a versus game show kind of topic. And I'm going to be a part of it, but I'm more the judge. I have two gentlemen. I got one in the background already, and he's going to be one of the players. And he always brags, he always wins. Let's see if he wins this time because he's won 1-1 so far. 1-1. Let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. What is going on, my man?
I am well, but you have to stop dispelling this information. I am undefeated in this channel, so I don't. Again, I think we're. But people can certainly judge. People can judge by themselves. You can go back and watch the old shows, and you decide. In fact, we should find a way to do polls.
101. 101.
We should do polls. I vote that we do that. We should put a poll after each show or at the end of each show. We can tally it up and see who won the debate of the night. I think that would be a good addition to the show.
All right. So I'm gonna break this down for you really fast. What's going on tonight? Because I know you're in the dark, and you said to me in a text before we went on the air, this is more a hangout show, but it's not. I'll explain to you why. So this is I'm calling a versus show. Perfect timing, actually. Let's get the next guy in here. So my guy is in the house. Anton, what's up, my man?
Gentlemen, what's going on? Greetings and salutations.
Likewise, but Anton, I don't like where this is going because he took the bold and the beautiful, the beneficent, benevolent, bald by speckled bald brotherhood, and you can tell it is evil mind. He's trying to turn us against each other already. So this isn't looking
Okay.
good from the start here.
Just hear me out with the rules, all right, guys. I'll be the judge tonight. So you guys get a pick for any show you guys want from the 80s and 90s. The rules are, all right, you have 2 minutes to debate about the show. Why is that show is better? We talk about screenwriting, number one, storytelling, impact, and legend. Why is that show? Now, if say Paul wins the first round, all right,
Okay.
you can pick a next show. And now Paul has to still use that show to debate the next one. For example, for reference, let's say you have French Prince versus Family Matters. Let's say Family Matters win, then you can pick Seven Heaven for argument's sake. And so on.
Gotcha.
The idea.
Okay.
All right, you guys are cool with the rules so far?
I'll see how long I can last or remember.
Yeah. All right. And if the winner will get a little surprise gift from me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Like I say, he's trying to pit two brothers against each other. So
yeah, he doesn't like to fight that, Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. President, because you came in first, I'll give you the floor first. What is the first show you're picking? Before you go break it down, name one show from the 80s and 90s.
The A-Team.
A-Team. Anton, what's your pick?
All right, he's going A-Team. I'm going to pick Miami Vice.
All right. All right, Paul, you got the floor. You got 2 minutes. And the time, let me get my timer up. It'd be nice if I had my timer set up.
Well, I mean, obviously, just the premise of the show, given that these four dishonorably discharged vets form a paramilitary group that goes and solves crimes and helps people on a weekly basis. Certainly soldiers of fortune, mixed with the personalities that were there. Each one are very different, but they all kind of mesh together. The launch of Mr. T as a major superstar in that show. Certainly they had a decent run. Now again, it did fall off over, I guess, the 5-year period. They they started working for another, I guess, a government organization. So again, it got kind of not as good towards the end, but it was a very influential show, and it was certainly one of the certainly shows of the '80s. And Mr. T became a household name in that period.
All right, Anton, ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right. The reason why I picked Miami Vice as my selection, it's been part of pop culture and it helped form pop culture. Here you had two police officers, one that was deep undercover, a former football player, another one, his partner, a New York City detective, basically working down there to help this group go after drug dealers, kingpins, and a lot of other crimes that were going on in Miami. And it also showed a nightlife that most people never knew about Miami. You had a very good cast, and yes, and Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas. Plus, also you had individuals such as Edward James Olmos involved with the cast, Olivia Brown, so on and so forth. And the one thing that definitely helped with the show were the number of actors and actresses that appeared as extras before they moved on to stardom. And when you look at the diverse group from Ed O'Neill to Giancarlo Esposito to Wesley Snipes, it's shocking that individuals you never would have thought to be on the show were on the show. And the music, the cars, the fashion, it is the one show that definitely defines the 80s.
All right, both of you guys, gentlemen, have a decent debates, but when you're talking about shows like that, the first one will come in your head is A Team. So this one round goes to Paul.
Mm.
All right, Anton, what's your next pick?
All right, let's go with. Oh man, it's gonna be a hard pick. Living Single.
Let me single. Okay, Paul, ready? You're up again. Go.
Oh my gosh.
See why this gets difficult? You see the idea now?
Oh no, I mean, I definitely get the idea, but okay, so if he's gonna go living single, oh my gosh, you almost kind of trapped me in here. That's a good. I'll say you said from the '80s and '90s, right?
Yep.
Correct.
All right, so you got to give me, like I said, I wasn't expecting this. I don't have all my reference points, and I may skip something. So let me just give me 1 second here.
That's the point.
And
That's what I didn't want to
I'm
tell
not
you.
trying to. I'm not trying to. See, I can't even. So I can't even. I don't think I can even use this show. I was going to say Girlfriends, but that's not a '90s show. I think that came out in the 2000s, so I can't even use that.
I'm not familiar with
Um,
that show, to be honest with you guys.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Living single. I guess I gotta take the bait. I guess I got to go with Friends. I guess I'll take that. So it's unfair, but
All right, because you won the last round. You can go first, Paul.
Hold up. Hold on. Who
well, I
won?
went first last time. So, but
All right.
I said I
We'll
won the
find
round,
out
so I
right
can
now.
define it. Okay, so again, I think Friends
Yes.
was certainly
No. Hold on.
what?
Are you
You
having
good?
difficulties?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always heard you.
All right, hold on. Let me find out what happened because I have no sound. Give me a minute.
But in the meantime, Paul, you do understand the concept of this, what I'm doing, right?
Somewhat. I'll get better as I go along. But to defend that one show against another, especially certainly great shows that certainly define the era. I would say this while he's working it out on his end. Antac, you still hear us? I don't think he can hear us. So right, so I got to give him a chance to.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, that's the thing. I can hear you. I can't hear you guys. Hold on.
Check your settings in Restream. You might have got clicked off by accident.
Oh wow. Okay. don't believe this.
Go ahead, Paul. You were saying before?
Honestly, well, man,
I don't believe this. Come on.
can I change
Come
my
on,
can I
come
change my
on.
pick?
This
Yeah. You guys didn't start
is
yet. Yeah, of course.
Now I'm just asking because again, I want to make sure Anton is aware of what's going on. I don't want to surprise him. So when he's able to kind of come back to it, I want him to be ready for it.
wow. This is no. Oh man.
Like I said, we can hear you fine. So the minute you can start hearing us again, then let us know.
Yeah.
How
You
did
should play
it
some
wow.
Jeopardy music in the end. Yeah, Jeopardy music.
I actually do.
Oh man, come on.
He's really having a hard time with this one. So, great. You were going to say before, Paul?
Yeah, I was gonna change my pick. Since he went with Living Single,
How did I lose?
he forced me into a corner, so I had to change my counter move. I'm picking the Golden Girls.
This is unbelievable.
All right.
That's a ballsy move.
First of all, it's one of the again revolutionary show of its time, showing four senior ladies living together, and that dynamic and interaction between those folks, I thought was certainly had everybody watching. It didn't matter what ethnic group you were. Everybody loved the show. Everybody remembers the theme song from the show, and they had certainly they had some heavy hitters there. On the show, B. Arthur, Betty White, certainly Rue McCallahan. I mean, I think those four, and just having each one having very different personalities. Certainly I would rate that show as certainly one of the better comedies of the day, and it was somewhat revolutionary because again, you didn't have a show like that where you had four senior ladies that were still, certainly one of them in particular was basically an nymphomaniac on the show, and so you definitely had a so they formed a very interesting dynamic that kept you that kept you coming back every week. So I'll put my stamp on that one. But again, I don't know if Anton heard that, so I may have to repeat it when he comes when he comes back on.
Yeah. And you're ready to go? Or what's up, dude? Guess not.
Live, is the screen frozen or not sure?
He just says, "Give him a minute." He just texts me.
Okay.
So yeah, the point of the show is pretty much just to, like we guys know, we do verses mostly on the sport arena and debates with martial arts and boxing and all that stuff. So I felt let's try something different. So that's why I said let's do this and let's see how this does. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you don't like the idea. You're a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, you kept it in the dark, so like I said, I could have probably been a little bit more prepared for it. But we'll roll with the punches and see where it lands.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Anton to get back in here. So, in the meantime, I was going to ask you a question. So, if you had to name 3 top shows that you liked from the 90s, from the 80s and 90s, you had to put them versus yourself in your head, which one would it be?
Wow, the favorite shows from the 80s and 90s. Man. 18 was really big when it came out. I was a huge fan of 18 when it was when it was out. I didn't watch. It's interesting you mentioned Miami Vice. I didn't watch a lot. I didn't watch a ton of Miami Vice. That being said, I did like the movie, the Michael Mann movie that came out in 2006. I thought was very good, and I thought it deserved a sequel. I'm not sure what was the disconnect, why it didn't do better than it did in the theaters. Um, Early on, obviously, like Buck Rogers in the 21st fifth century, I was a big fan of. That came out in actually that came out in 81, I think. I want to say 81. It might have been that might have been the set. That might have been like 79. So I might have to pull that one back. But as far as just 80 shows I look forward to, uh, I mean, I was all over the place. Like Dynasty was a big fan of. Was a big fan of the show Dynasty uh, back in the um, back in the 80s. Dallas, that would be a good versus Dallas versus Dynasty. What
Mhm.
show was better? But again, Dallas started in the 70s and went in well into the 80s. I think it was like show ran for like 11 years or something like that. So definitely an 80s type of show. Other shows watched on a regular basis. See, a lot of the shows that I watched were like 70s shows that kind of went into the 80s. By the time
You
I
can pick
got
those. That's
into
fine. You can
what's
match.
that?
You can match those. That's fine because they're still
Yeah,
in the 80s.
yeah, yeah. Other TV shows. Let me just look up a reference here because obviously, I mean, Cosby Show was, I think, transformational. I think in a lot of ways, despite everything that happened with obviously with Bill Cosby and all that, I think that certainly the Cosby Show was certainly
Mhm.
one again a revolutionary type of show. Magnum PI, I was really into when it was on. I'm just going kind of going through this list of
MacGyver was a
shows.
good one too, if you think about it.
MacGyver was
Oh,
good.
definitely.
Fall Guy. I used to be a
Oh,
big fan of Fall Guy. I used to love
wow.
Fall Guy. Um,
Cheers.
Cheers was a big one. And in terms of like shows that I back then like actually look forward to watching. Um, because I was like a big sports guy, so I was always watching some sporting program or whatever. Let's see. Saved by the Bell, I watched quite a bit, but I always looked at that as a '90s show, even though it started in the late '80s. But Saved by the Bell was like a '90s.
You know, the
Actually,
most iconic scene that always remembers me is when Slater and Zach got in that fist fight.
Yeah,
oh wow, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think the one thing about Saved by the Bell for a lot of us that grew up in that time period that were the same age as the characters, it was definitely relatable. It was definitely one of those things that was just relatable and everything else. And what a lot of people didn't realize, the show originally started as Good Morning Miss Bliss.
Mhm.
That I don't remember, to be honest. Again, I was a little bit too young to remember that much.
That
But
was
I
some,
remember watching all the reruns and all that stuff,
yeah.
and I did enjoy it. The other scene I remember when man, what's her name? Slater's girlfriend in the show.
Elizabeth Berkley, she played Kelly. Not Kelly. Jesse Spano.
Jesse, yes, thank you, Jesse. When she took those caffeine pills,
Oh yeah, I
and I
remember
think
that.
back in '80, caffeine pills were a huge trend back then, weren't they?
Yeah, it was just another form, uppers, downers, anything to kind of, sort of speed you up a little bit. So, I know a lot of athletes use them. If you were like partying the night before, whatever, you take a few of those so you get psyched up for the next game or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do remember. I do remember that. Oh, what am I thinking? Duh, Knight Rider. My gosh,
Oh
you know
wow.
that's
Yes.
obviously I gotta put that up there in the top
It
show.
was
So I
good
would say
debate.
A Team, Knight Rider.
Hmm.
Certainly those were big ones. Like I was telling them before you came back, I was a big fan of Dynasty, uh, Dallas and Dynasty. I was kind of like
Yes.
I was kind of into those I'm talking about shows that I would literally like look forward to like on a weekly basis. If something was on, something was on. If I wasn't doing anything else. But as far as like shows where back then you didn't have VCRs were just starting to come on board.
Yeah.
That was almost like a luxury item until like the for me, I didn't get my first VCR until like the late '80s,
Oh
like
wow.
87, 88 when I got my first
Mhm.
VCR.
I think my parents got their first VCR around that same time too.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like you had to. There were certain shows where like you had to be there, in front of the TV at a certain time if you were
Yep.
going to watch the show. So definitely, so
Dallas Dynasty, Knots Landing,
yep,
Falcon Crest,
yeah, that's the thing.
Hotel,
Your Friday night
evening
was
evening
if
soap operas, and people
yeah,
don't realize they were just as popular as the daytime shows, and
yeah,
at times more popular.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say when we got our first VCR, for some reason our first VCR did not have a record mode, so we couldn't
Really?
record. We could only watch VCRs back on that. And that
mhm,
thing, I remember I seeing that when I came back from Greece. The damn thing was like a dinosaur. It was like bulky as hell. And once I started working, I ended up, updating that and was recording and everything. And I remember when DVDs came out, and that's the next purchase. That another good VCR versus DVDs is a huge debate on that right now because physical media has a big comeback right now, huge comeback. A lot of people are willing to buy DVDs right now versus streaming online.
yeah,
That's understandable because if you had like the DVD collection, like, and this is definitely aging us, Blockbuster. You didn't always have to rent from them. You could buy DVDs from them,
And
and
sometimes it's cheaper buying through them because there was a
yeah,
huge DVD.
exactly. And also, if you wanted like those special edition movies or TV shows and everything else, you can order them through Amazon, and that's when Amazon was just getting started. Like you were able to
Absolutely.
get it through them,
One
or
thing I
times
did
Blockbuster
like,
would have it.
I liked about DVDs back in the day was deleted scenes.
Yep.
That was my thing back then. Like when you watch the deleted scenes, like man, they really should have put this scene in. It made you think sometimes.
Right.
Why
mhm,
did it cut it? Usually
Right.
it's because of the timing. It was like nobody back at the time. Nobody would watch more than an hour movie. They thought.
Right.
mhm.
Now,
Another great thing about DVDs also, the commentary.
I never was a big comedy person, to be honest with you.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
I'm a big guy because again, it's like there's certain moments like in the shows, and you realize like how they come to that and what was said, what was the thought process around it. Because sometimes these moments happen in the show that even the stars, celebrities didn't know was coming. So I always like to kind of get that backdrop, like how things that are iconic, how those things,
Mhm.
how they make it into the final cut. Because again, they do leave a lot of things on the cutting room floor, and some of those are just decisions, but they become big moments in TV history. And then so when you hear the retrospect, it's like, wow, I didn't know that was going on. Those are always those are always interesting to watch. I'm a big fan of watching retrospectives because again a lot of guys who do their homework and research there they give you a lot of information that even the DVDs sometimes don't necessarily give you.
I remember renting Ocean. I remember one time my wife and I we were watching Ocean's 11 with the commentary, and it had Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and Andy Garcia on, and they were commenting on certain scenes that happened in the movie. And
Yeah, he's freezing bad today.
Mm.
Oh, you were going to say, Paul? Take you guys back.
No, I think I said
one of the things
my point. So
and one of the things that I remembered that they always enjoyed talking about was a lot of the guys loved coming to the set even if they weren't filming, just to see everyone else and see what they were doing.
mm,
And one thing I remember all three of them enjoyed was Carl Reiner when he was in the movie. And they said that one of the things that he would do, he would share stories on Las Vegas back in its heyday from the 60s, like when it just got started in the 60s and 70s. He talked about the days when the Rat Pack ran the strip. He talked about, the Dunes, the Flamingo, the Golden Nugget, all those old resorts that we hear stories about. And he was telling a lot of the cast and crew, like they always look forward to hearing a lot of his stories. They said that was like one of the best things they enjoyed about doing Ocean's 11. It wasn't just filming their scenes, it was just in retrospect seeing how Vegas has changed over the years and having an opportunity to listen to Carl Reiner and listen to his stories on how Las Vegas was compared back then compared to at that time. I think it was around 2000, 2001 when he filmed it. And then now looking at the city 25 years later, how it's changed in so many ways. And how he even said he never saw Vegas grow to where it is at the time they were filming the movie. He remembers like those old days, and he never thought in his wildest dreams Las Vegas would grow to where it is now.
Mhm.
And they said that was the one of the best things they enjoyed about filming the movie was listening to his stories.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know
it's
one
interesting you
thing I
talk
will
about Vegas. It's kind of on the decline. Hopefully, they can make a comeback because
Well, a lot of stuff
Vegas is
that's going on, unfortunately.
Vegas is in
But
bad shape right now. Yeah,
ironically, Vegas is now becoming a sports town.
yeah.
That
Yeah, one thing
and
I would say is Vegas. If you have some of the old merch from the time, like chips or anything during the casino era with the mafias,
mhm,
that is worth some money. It depends on the value, condition
Hmm.
obviously and everything.
Yeah.
right,
If
right.
you have something from the what late 60s, I believe that is,
Late
uh,
60s, the early to like late 60s to the 70s to the
yeah, it
70s.
does. It has some value, huge value on that. Definitely in the right buyer and the right seller, you can
Right.
make some serious cash on those old stuff from that for the
Hmm.
the old mafia casino ones.
Hmm.
But
I
I,
what here's a funny story, and then we'll go back.
yeah,
A lot of people knew that the mob helped build Las Vegas. Guess who the people that worked in those casinos? Who were the dealers, who were the showgirls, the showgirls and the waitresses and the cocktail waitresses? Mormons.
Wow.
really.
Yeah. And the reason why the mafia loved working with the Mormons, they would never lie. They wouldn't lie and they wouldn't steal. Every time they checked the tallies, everything was up to date.
Mm.
Not a cent missing. And they said everything that you do, and like just being there goes against their beliefs. But the fact that they trusted them because they knew they were never going to steal from them. That was like the one thing they realized, like, hey, you need a cocktail waitress, you need a dealer, get those Mormons and everything else, and they're gonna make sure that your tally's up to date. Trust me, you're not gonna be short, not ever. And they never were. And when I heard that too, I was like, that's the last group I would think to be associated with Vegas. But in those early
Hey,
days,
you have to make a living somehow, right?
Yeah. Right.
exactly, exactly.
All right, you guys got back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we can.
All right. So, Paul, what was your pick again?
So again, I had to do a pivot because
Okay.
he hit me with a liver shot with the living single. So I had to come with it up because I had to come back. So I changed my pick and I chose the Golden Girls
What?
because first of all, you got a heavyweight lineup. I mean, Betty White, who lived forever.
Right.
You got Rue Callahan, and then you had B. Arthur, who was famous from Maude from the '70s and all those Norman Lear shows and whatnot. So you had a heavyweight lineup, very different characters and whatnot, and they were showing that. Yeah, I mean, even old ladies need love too. So I mean, so they definitely had a very good dynamic, and my thing is everybody watched that show. Like Living Single, as popular as the show was, certainly in the black community, I don't know if everybody got with that, but everybody watched the Golden Girls. It didn't matter who you were, everybody was watching, and everybody knew the theme song. You know what I mean? So so I chose Golden Girls, their singles dynamic over the sisters from Living Single. Love the sisters, but so that was my pick. So you can go and defend
I picked
Living
Living
Single.
Single for the fact that it was one of the first TV shows you saw four black women living together who were all accomplished. When you look at that group, you had um, Queen Latifah, Kim Fields, Erica Alexander, and I believe it was Charlene Jones who played Sinclair.
Hmm.
You have four women living together, all of them successful in their own right, all accomplished, and it was never about drama. It was never about nonsense. It was never about shenanigans. It was just they were enjoying their lives. They were none none of them at the time in the beginning of the show were in serious relationships. They were just doing their thing and trying to grow, And then of course you had the two brothers that lived upstairs. it to me it felt like this was Cosby era once the kids leave the house and live their own lives. That's what I got out of that.
Mm.
And I feel like while the Cosby Show showed that strong dynamic of coming from a strong basis of a two-parent home and everything else when it came to education and culture and so on and so forth, to me, Living Single was this is what happens when they graduate and they leave home. So that's why I picked it.
Mm.
So this is going to be a tough one. I think Golden Girls will take that one because I do believe I agree with Paul because they were more popular and more better storyline. I personally believe.
Mm.
You're saying, Anton, you got to pick up your game up. You
I
0-2 so
know, I
far.
know, I know, I know.
All right, Anton, I'll let you go first this time.
Oh wow. Okay, let's go with you know what? I'm gonna go with Growing Pains.
Okay, Paul.
Okay, I'll take Family Matters.
Oh, you're really going for the juggler over that one.
All right, so again, I mean, both again, great shows, great family dynamics of the show, strong father figures, good women. I mean, there was really no negative. I thought that either show dealt with. I thought Family Matters at times I think dealt with a little bit more serious subject matter, especially since the main Reginald Vell Johnson's character was a cop, and certainly there were instances where I know his son was harassed by cops. Like they had to, they would go deep sometimes. There was stuff about I think it was Vell Johnson's I think his father was absent from his life or whatnot and came back. So they would kind of threaten. I mean, obviously you had Steve Urkel who was like, nobody expected him to be the star of the show. I think they were trying to keep it as a family kind of centered show, and then Steve Urkel, who's supposed to be kind of like a side character, became like the main one of the main characters of the show. That happens with a lot of these comedies, right? I mean, when Good Times came out, for example, James Evans was supposed to be kind of the star of the show, but then nobody expected that JJ would be, so that happens sometimes where the funny man, kind of overtakes the show and people kind of tune into that. But you had those dynamics, the chasing of Steve to try to get Laura, which really never happened. Certainly in the show, but it kind of
Did
kept
happen.
you get. No, I don't think they ever got
In the
together.
end, towards the
I
end
think
of the
they did.
series,
They did get together at the end.
think
I
they
thought
did.
that was always.
it got flipped. Actually, Laura went after him
Mm,
because
wow.
that's where when he made a clone, and the clone become Stefan.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
And she realized she's not in love with Stefan. She's actually in love with Urkel.
With Steve.
Yeah, and you kind of went. I do remember the episode when they went back, but I don't remember them actually being a couple at least because I know he was dating the woman. I think Lisa Thomas. I think she died
Yeah.
relatively young or whatever. That was his girlfriend for a number of years. So I don't recall them getting together at the end. I might have fell off the show at the time, but I just remembered that just overall, certainly I think the show dealt with some very serious family dynamics, and they were able to have comedy certainly at the same time. So I think they were able to kind of balance that when it came to marital issues and marital issues in the family and whatnot. So yeah, so I don't think they were afraid to kind of go away from tough subjects. I think there was another show where I think Reginald's character, I think he deleted someone. Or he didn't. No, he didn't stop someone from being deleted. I think he froze up and didn't stop someone from being deleted. And then he had to kind of go to the grave site and had to, kind of because he never forgave himself for not doing that. And then he met the wife of the one that was slain there, and they had a moment. So again, I think they really tackled some very, kind of heartstrings type of moments. But again, Steve Urkel was a serendipity that certainly for years really had that demographic come in it. So for that reason, I'll choose Family Matters. But Anton, you can take it.
Ooh, wow. I picked Growing Pains because it came out at a time that redefined the family dynamic because back in the 80s, it was unheard of for the woman to work from outside the house and the man work from home. And that was the thing you saw with the characters. Alan Thicke played a psychiatrist who had his practice at home. He had a home office and everything else. Joanna Kearns was a very successful journalist that went from first print media to television and also did something that was at a time unheard of. She was professionally known by her maiden name. You had Kirk Cameron, who was the eldest son, in a way was, a slapstick and everything else, but eventually you did see him, grow up. You had Tracy Gold, who played the daughter, who was the overachiever, and I know she was dealing with some personal issues of her own, and they found a way to write into the show to where she had to take some time off. They never really addressed her issues. They found a way to where, oh, she's studying abroad and everything else, and respected her privacy. Yeah, Jeremy Piven, who was the young kid who was learning to find his place, and then of course they added Ashley Johnson as Chrissy, the youngest, showing that women in their late 30s and early 40s can still have children. I remember they also had Leonardo DiCaprio on the show as well, which
Yep.
means they dealt with the foster care system and how you could bring someone who never was connected to you biologically and can still be family. They did have ways to address issues, but they never kind of made it. I guess they did find ways of addressing it in some aspect. I remember one episode where Kirk Cameron did do a PSA after an episode about drugs and the importance of why kids should stay away from it. And he didn't have to, but he chose to do this. And we all heard the stories about some of the things that went on behind the scenes, but I feel like this show really helped was one of those shows that helped redefine the dynamics of the American family. And that's why I went Growing Pains.
Right. The only thing I push back maybe a little bit on is I know you're
Right.
talking about it showed like a father being home and a woman going to work. I thought the Cosby Show did some of that, even though Cliff was an OB.
Right.
Most of the time he was home. Like he had his home office,
Right.
and yes, he would go to the hospital sometimes, but it's like it was not like every episode he was at a hospital. So I always
True.
thought that was kind of
But
like a
I-
kind of breaking too.
I
But agree with
remember
you.
I remember there were 3 shows that came out at that same time that redefined that dynamic. Growing Pains, Cosby Show, and Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
And those
Who's the boss?
shows-
Probably even more so. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was,
and
that
all
was-
and all 3 shows had the same thing in common. The men worked at home and the women worked outside the house and were successful.
yeah.
And that was an unheard of dynamic back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. When did Designing Women come out? I think that was also a show also that kind of redefined the woman's role, especially like in the workplace and whatnot.
Right.
And that was right. So I think there were a lot of shows that were starting to show women in more independent roles. Like they was in a cross. Remember Cagney and Lacey? You ever see that one?
I remember that.
Right. So that was again a cop show, but it was
Yeah.
like that was like one of the first ones where you had 2 women as police officers. So I think a lot of the
Not just
dynamic
the
was
officers, there were
definitely
detectives in the NYPD, and that at that time was unheard of.
yeah, for sure.
That was definitely unheard of. And of course, Kate and Hallie, 2 divorced women
Yep.
whose families shared a brownstone together.
Yep.
You had a lot of these shows where you saw women taking charge, taking the lead
Yeah.
in ways that was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
So that's
So you know what the manosphere is going to say. So it's the 80s that ruined everything for us. Blame it on the 80s.
Oh boy. But
You know what? If I was part, if I say I had a debate with somebody and picked these 2 shows and something like it was random, I picked out a hat and I got Family Matters. You can sit there and have a good argument about Family Matters because it had multiple seasons. You see the kids growing up through the seasons.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you saw a bunch of stuff like Eddie getting jumped when he was trying to defend his aunt's restaurant.
Right.
With, Pink Dragons, I think they were called, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you saw him, drinking a lot. I think he was drinking and driving actually, and at one point too.
Mhm.
Or again, 80s, and I do apologize whoever I offend out there. He got pulled out of a car and he got smoked for being a young black kid in a white neighborhood. If you remember that episode,
Right.
Yeah.
and his father flipped the fuck out. He goes, "Yo," he threw a chair across the diner. Like, "Yo, you do not go smoke my son because he didn't do nothing wrong." So you got to respect. They pushed the boundaries so far that you could not ignore that show, and that's what I liked about it personally. Urkel was the one who going. Except Urkel wasn't a main character originally. He was like a
No,
one timer.
they had
No.
no idea. It was
No.
Yeah, and when they find out, oh yeah, he's actually going to be a good member of this team, and you got to admit it, Urkel gave you the laugh.
But
Like,
I think, unfortunately, his character overshadowed basically the Winslows, and I think
oh,
that was
absolutely,
the
I
problem.
kid you not.
yeah, yeah.
When you heard Family Matters, the first person you turned the show was about
Exactly.
was Urkel.
Yep.
Well, like I
Not-
said, that's how Good Times was. Also, they weren't expect. I mean, obviously, Jimmy Walker was a star. He was a stand-up comedian. He was famous at the time. But the show was clearly supposed to center around. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was one of the reasons why the father left,
John
or
Amos.
they wrote him out of the show. Yeah, because
They actually they deleted him off because
yeah,
one of the things I remember hearing, he had this talk. I think it was on. I think Norman Lear part of that show too, or was it
Yeah,
Sherwood Schwartz? Was Norman Lear?
Lear, yeah, that
Yeah.
was Lear's show.
And I remember he said before he left, he said he didn't want James's character leaving the family. He says that happens too much in our community. He did not want to see that happen. And the one episode, I think, of the season finale, where the family was supposed to be leaving Chicago, and I think they were supposed to relocate down south.
Correct,
then-
because he got a job. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
supposed to go down there, and he got a
Get
job.
settled and everything else. Correct. And then Esther Roll, who played Florida Evans, gets a telegram and found out that he
Yeah,
was gone. And
Yeah.
it was like, wow.
yeah.
Like they killed him off, and it was like
It was jarring.
It was.
I mean, it was so, and the one with the funeral, it was so quiet, it was loud. You know what I mean? Like when she
Mhm.
broke the vase and she said, D D D, whatever.
Yeah.
You felt it, right? It was like everybody was kind of like in the same kind of state, like, where do we go from here, whatnot. And it was just, the moment was just like perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
How do you move forward from this?
Oh yeah. Now that was, and
Personally,
you're
I
a
would
kid at the
say-
time watching this, and you can still feel that, even being as young as I was at the time, that kind of emotion around that episode. That was rough.
If you had to pick eventually with the two shows or better, I think this is a fair enough, and I think you guys are going to agree it's a tie on this one because
Yeah.
you
Yeah, it
can't
was-
argue this one. I mean, like, this is a hard argument. Both were iconic. Both are a good memorabilia down the memory lane of the show, and you can't have one versus the other. Like, I want to throw a nugget into this wrench for you guys. So, Paul, I'll give you Family Matters to you because you picked. Anton, I'm going to throw you a French Bear Belair. I'm going to throw my monkey wrench. So debate that for a second for me.
Oh,
You know what
wow.
I'm saying? Because I'm gonna talk to that for you guys a little bit because one iconic scene that always hits me. It tears me up even to this day when his father came back in his life and he walked back out of his life.
Yeah. Ben Vereen.
Yeah. Ben Vereen,
Yeah. He pulled out the monkey, a monkey statue, was it? Am I mistaken? Statue. Well, I don't remember which one. Yeah, I think it was a monkey. I was right. And he said, I don't need him at all. Why doesn't he love me? And people don't know this part. He threw his hat off. Remember when the porn? He threw his hat off and he hugged him. And he was whispering. He goes to Will Smith. He goes, "Now that's acting."
Yes.
And that's where he was finally accepted as an actor, not as a rapper, as an actor. You can debate about his rapping music all you want. Like, some people love it, some people hate it. I think he has some good music, but you cannot debate his acting in that
Right.
show.
Mhm.
That's why it was on for so many years. But this is, Anton, I'll let you take over the floor from this one. Go ahead.
All right. One thing I'll definitely give about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I remember looking at Instagram, and I was looking at one of the moments there, was James Avery, God rest his soul, playing Uncle Phil. He was that strong male figure that Will needed. He was an individual that most people didn't realize came from, humble beginnings and worked his way up. Got into college, got into law school, became a successful lawyer, then eventually became a judge. He was an example of putting in the work to get to where you are and remembering and I think the one thing that hurt his character in the beginning was he was embarrassed of where he came from. And then eventually he had to learn to embrace it and accept it, and he did.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Aunt Viv, There were two women.
So what's the debate? The first and vid for the
I know.
That, hang on, time out a second here. That's one thing I will say. It did hurt the show in the long run. I was personally more a fan of Vane Point 2.0 versus the original OG.
Okay.
I felt she was cold. She didn't feel the character well. I felt, but the
Oh,
2.0 version,
but that was, I don't, the way I look, that was her fault. 'Cause again, it was a similar thing which happened with either Family Matters or Good Times.
yeah.
Like for some reason, because I think she was like a known like theater actress or something like that, so she
she
just
was, yes.
thought that she was going to be more like the star of the show. And no, but people tuned in to see Will Smith. He was going to be the class clown, and everybody liked that. But she was like not, she was envious.
Yeah.
Is the best way to say it. Because even Alfonso Ribeiro, he's said the same thing. So she brought a lot of that heat, and she carried all that business for years. So I don't think
And they actually did mend fences. I found out they actually did mend fences. It took a long time, but they actually
right.
did get a chance to sit down and talk about it, and they mended fences. I think one
Yeah.
also good thing about the show also was the cast. Alfonso Ribeiro playing Carlton. He was somewhat naive.
Yeah.
Was definitely a product of the upbringing of living
Yeah.
in
Well, that was
Beverly Hills.
Well, that was almost like the thing that almost what I didn't like. I said back then. Again, I was very much in the pro Black Pan African type of
Right.
thing,
Right.
and so that was the one thing about the show that annoyed me the most. That you had these parents who came from a civil rights type of Black Panther. I think there was one
Right.
show where there was this one sister who showed up, and she was, I guess they were kind of like in the Panthers type of thing, whatever. They were all
Right.
kind of doing their thing, and then she was still fighting the fight of the '60s where they decided that they were going to move on and do something else. But they knew their stuff, but their kids were relatively ignorant.
Right. And
Like the
that's
kids, I don't think they knew their history all that well.
nah.
And just all the protests and the reason why they were there. To me, that was always a disconnect on the show. That why are their kids such airheads when it comes to roots and cultural
Right.
things? But like to your earlier point, it was as if the father was trying to get his kids more to act like, for lack of a better word, like white kids or
Yeah.
white culture or society versus being proud of your own. So I think the one thing that Will, I think, in one, whether he wanted to or not, I think forced them to confront and recognize who they were, and don't forget about
Exactly.
where you came from, because it's in like, because all of that history that they had was not lost on the kids. And I thought that was really a disconnect that I felt that was never quite addressed in the show. And I still don't think the kids get it. I think the parents got more in line with who they were. But the only time I remember the kids ever really being conscious was the one where Carlton tried to pledge the Black fraternity,
Yes.
and they rejected
I
him
remember that.
because he was
I remember.
he was not black enough for whatever that
I
means.
remember seeing that clip on Instagram. I remember that.
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
And
So
it
that was the
very
first time I saw it. Was like, oh, okay, now I think he gets it, or he's much
now.
deeper than what we thought he was. But up to that point, I thought the kids were very shallow in the show, which was surprising given the background of the parents. If the parents didn't come from that, I get it. But you guys know more than anybody what the deal is. You
Right.
work in the criminal justice system, so you know what that is like.
Right.
And so if anybody should be on game or on code or be woke, should be your kids. And it just seemed like
Exactly.
you just never saw that. So that
I-
was always a peeve for me when watching the show. That
Yeah, Karen Parsons, Alfonso Ribeiro, Tatiana Lee, shout out to them because
yeah, they were
they were great. they did that. They played their role. They did their part, and everything else.
right.
It was just their characters were just unaware,
Yeah.
and that's the best way
My
to put
thing
it.
was during the show with Carlton. He was so preppy and so everything. When he came to becoming his roots from his culture, he did not know that. And then later on, he's
Yeah.
Right.
You see where I'm going with this, right, Paul?
Yeah, he started being more and
That's what
more
I'm saying.
aware of
But
his
it's
background.
the fact that his parents, who at one time were very conscious and very aware and very involved in the '60s, in the civil rights movement, that shouldn't have been something that was lost. So it just seems like their thing was, well, we're so far away from that. And then they had different shows. I think there was one show where they got also stopped by cops or something like that.
Right.
Will and Carlton. So they had to be reminded again. It's like, nah, this isn't that long ago that these things are still there. So
Right.
again, the fact that you and just me, I'm thinking as a father myself now, and I'm sure you too, Anton, how important it is that our kids be educated
They have
on
to talk.
history, and that we don't forget that no matter how successful we
Exactly.
get, that we got to keep passing that on. And that was just something that was always a bit disturbing in the show, that the kids were so ignorant about things that that they should have been
very
aware
unaware.
of at that time.
I think what it was also, if you think about it, Paul, First Prince of Bel-Air came out around the same time when the Cosby Show was wrapping up.
Correct. Yeah,
And
it was
I
almost like a
think-
Really,
spin-off.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what it was, and it sucks, I think the people with Fresh Prince, they didn't want to be seen as Cosby Show 2.0. So I think they had to find a way to do something different.
Mhm.
And it sucks that that was the one aspect they had to do to differentiate themselves from the Cosby Show, because you and I know the Cosby Show, they were aware about every aspect of Black culture.
Yeah.
Every aspect: music, art, stories. One of the things I definitely appreciated about the Cosby Show was the different aspects within Black culture, like
for sure.
Jeffrey Owens playing Elvin. You
Yeah.
know, Sabrina Bus.
The Caribbean,
Okay.
the Caribbean
The Caribbean
background when you met
aspect,
his
yeah.
parents, right? And that was a major, because we did a Black Man show. We talked about that dynamic, because like it really came to, I guess, like feminism, like, because Claire was very anti anything that was
Right.
traditional. At least that's the way it came off to me. Because all Elvin was a reflection of his culture. Like in a Caribbean home, women tend to be more the nurturers and whatnot, and
Right.
Claire wasn't having it.
Right.
And so it seemed like she took out all her frustration on Elvin because he was there, but you didn't check his parents,
Right.
where he grew up in a culture that's where that's
was
accepted.
very common.
So I thought that they were being a little bit too aristocratic, or at least Claire came off as being like, no, there's one way you should see women, but you got to recognize even throughout the diaspora that we're going to have different expressions. Some are going to be more traditional than others.
Exactly.
And so that needs to be respected, not put down. So that I know that those episodes in particular, I thought, those were kind of, I didn't have a good opinion of Claire, because I thought she was very judgmental when if it didn't fit what she thought womanhood was or family dynamic was,
Right.
that it wasn't good.
Mhm.
But all of it works. I'm just saying, you find what works for you.
So
But don't put
time
down
out 1
people
second,
because they
guys.
have a different cultural dynamic.
All right, time out 1 second. So I'm trying to fix the chat problem. I cannot see the chats coming in on my end for some weird reason. I don't know if it's what's the word we call it? Restream is doing something weird right now. I cannot see any chats, so I do apologize if you're just asking questions in the chats or anything. Please bear with me. I am trying to fix it the best I can right now, so just bear with me, guys.
The last comment I see is from Wally. What shows are we arguing again? That was at 1019.
Actually, it was at 10:25, I think.
1025.
10:25.
Okay. So basically, the last verse, if Wally can listen. So the last verses was, I think it was Family Matters versus Growing Pains. That was like the last, and then we kind of spun off. But if I can lead the next, if you want to do a next battle, you talked about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or however, you can either do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or you can do Cosby versus A Different World.
Wow. And ironically, Different World came from the
Correct.
Cosby Show.
So again, if you want to talk about impact, now again, I thought everything you said about the Cosbys, Different World was definitely, because no show ever did anything that featured HBCUs
Exactly.
and that culture. That, and it's funny because again, I was in college or just getting out of college at the time, so step shows was a bit. Even I went to a PWI at Rutgers. Still, step shows, the sororities, fraternities,
The D9.
that kind of experience, highlighting HBCUs. No show did that. So
Yeah.
for that reason alone, I may have to put Different World in my Mount Rushmore of 80s and 90s shows
You have to.
because it did. So I think Cosby may have like broke the mold or broke through to show a different dynamic of a black family or a Fresh Prince that very well-to-do families, but a Different World though really put shined a light on that, and that was also around the time School Days, Spike Lee came out around that same time.
It did.
So,
and ironically, after the movie, some of the cast members that were in School Days was on A Different World. Jasmine Guy, Daryl Bell, Kadeem Hardison. They
Cree
were in
Summer,
Cree Summer. They were all. I don't think Cree Summer was in School Days.
No, she wasn't. No, I thought you were talking about different. No, you're right. You're right.
But the three I just mentioned, they ended up turning up on A Different World, and a lot of people didn't know about HBCUs.
No,
a lot of people didn't know anything about the Divine Nine.
No,
and that's
Anton or Paul, do me a favor. Can you guys explain what was the word you guys used again?
HBCUs.
Yeah, what does
historically black colleges and universities.
Okay.
And the Divine Nine, all right, and the D9 or the Divine Nine is the National Pan-Hellenic Council. It's the 9 Black Greek-led organizations,
right?
The 5 fraternities and the 4 sororities,
right?
That help lay the foundation as well, associated with the HBCUs. I remember we were on BMU's show talking about fraternities and sororities at one time, sometime back.
But it was like a month ago, I think, was it? Or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
And a lot of the D9 organizations, a lot of these fraternities, sororities, of the 9, if I remember, I believe 5 of them were founded at HBCUs. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think 5 of them, if I remember, were founded at HBCU. So there's a lot of history that comes with it. Right. And the one thing people don't realize, what Bill Cosby did with the Cosby Show, with his show, about the importance of education. People remember him always wearing the cardigan sweaters.
Yeah.
The one thing everybody forgets were the number of college and university sweatshirts he wore.
That's right. That's right.
Because I remember he started wearing Temple because I think he graduated from Temple.
He graduated. Yeah, I don't know if he got his doctorate from Temple, but yeah. And he's from Philly, so yeah.
He wore Temple.
Really? I didn't know he was from Philly.
Yeah. Yeah, the Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, that was literally that was him as a kid. Like he played himself in Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids and that area. So definitely he definitely drew inspiration from his background.
Right.
I didn't know that at all. Yeah.
And that was one of the things. First he wore, I think, a Temple shirt. He rocked the NYU shirt. He rocked the NYU. I think he rocked the St. John's. And then all of a sudden, he started rocking a lot of schools. I remember my sister was excited. He rocked a Providence College sweater.
Mm-hmm.
He rocked a Providence College sweatshirt. And my sister was excited because most people never knew of Providence College. And then the other thing that he also did that people forgot, he also rocked shirts from the HBCUs. Shaw, South Carolina State, Alabama A&M, Morehouse, Tuskegee, Florida A&M, Hampton, Howard.
Yeah.
But
so what was your thought then overall that he chose a fictional HBCU in Hillman? Like if he would have chose like a Morehouse or whatever, that decision versus picking one versus the other, because like you said, he wore Temple and certain schools. If he would have picked an established school, would you think that would have hurt?
It probably would have been a challenge trying to go through. Hold on, Carter, I'm busy right now. I think it would have been a challenge for him with the copyright and everything else associated with it. So I think he picked Hillman. He made up a school in Hillman, and I think he used the many variances of the HBCUs.
Yeah.
and
kind
that's
of come
how
up
he
with
was
a
able to create him in college.
right,
I
right,
think that's the best way I can describe it, because I think when you look at a different world when they focused on Hillman, I think if you go to any of the HBCUs, and I could be wrong, and I apologize, you saw certain aspects of those HBCUs at Hillman.
yeah,
Something that was associated with Clark Atlanta, or
yep,
with Spelman,
yeah,
or with Johnson C. Smith, or with Grambling, or with Delaware State, or with Cheney. He found a way, and Spike Lee too, when he did School Days, they found a way to show the world, ladies and gentlemen, these are the HBCUs. These are
yeah.
the
Yeah,
HBCUs.
although I would say a major difference between School Days and I thought that the fraternities, sororities, the D9s, I thought it was a bad look in School Days. Just
Well,
overall, just like the whole because it's interesting you mentioned School Days because I was part of the DAT movement. You know what I mean?
okay.
We were Pan Africans and whatnot, and we weren't with the. I mean, we
You were like the
allowed
fellas.
we allowed D9s to if you want to join us, you could. If you wanted to join us, you could, but we were about everybody. We weren't just trying to be like this separate identity from everybody. So we were
Right.
kind of like dapping his boys over them. But I thought certainly at the end, the pledging process, the exploitation of women, just the things how they were acting at the end, I thought it was a bad look for the D9s. Whereas in Different World, I thought the image was a lot more positive, at least
Right.
or at least a more positive reflection of that.
Right. I remember one person I know that had issue with Spike Lee with School Days was a friend of mine. He's part of the Social Fellowship. He's part of Groove Fight Groove.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of Groove did not like the fact because he used their initials associated with, the protagonist organization in the movie, Gamma Phi Gamma.
mhm,
The colors as well, even though
mhm,
he made a slight change with the colors. And a couple other things too. And the only fraternity I remember within the D9 that was associated that was actually in School Days were the Alphas,
mhm.
because those are the brothers at the Step Show. They were
Yeah,
like the first of all Black Greeks, the men of distinction, the men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I think I could be wrong. I think Spike Lee is an Alpha.
mm,
And I remember one of the advisors that he had is a Q. He had a Q dog. He had a member of Omega Psi Phi work as the advisor to
right,
make everything look authentic.
right.
So there were some elements that he took from the fellowships and the D9, and I know a good number of grooves that were not happy
Yeah,
because of the color schemes and the letters. And I don't remember any of the D9 organizations really having any smoke for him
mhm,
per se, or any HBCUs.
right.
But I do remember hearing that there was some people that did not like the issues that happened within the Black community, that he put it out there for people to see.
He did. He did. The colorism that was a
Mhm.
big thing.
Yeah.
In the in the movie, but just how these fraternities behave, especially at the end, when the guy had to
Oh
he let his
yeah.
girlfriend sleep with Spike, and then after he dismisses her, and then he's with
Right.
another girl at the end. So it just seemed like they made them look more like just like I don't know I want to say a gang, but it just the virtues, and this is always the discussion with D9s anyway. Like you have
Right.
the virtues of the organizations, but
And
then you
then
have
you got
things
the
like
nonsense and
hazing, and you have
shenanigans.
these other negative things that are associated with it. And what do you emphasize, or what do you focus on? So that was a but different world though. They definitely, I thought for the most part,
Yeah.
cast the Black college experience, the HBCU experience,
Mhm.
fraternities and sororities in general. I thought they were generally put in a big light. And again, I think it was also revolution. So just as so in terms of what I would choose. So again, we were gonna have, since this is a versus show.
Right.
So Different World versus Cosby, or Different World versus Fresh Prince of Bel Air. What would be your pick? I would lean Different World, but what say you? And I think I've given a defense of it. But what say you if you were going to give a defense of either Cosby or? And I think you have Cosby Show or Fresh Prince, what would you choose as a
Before any
in a
time goes
versus
on,
set?
hang on a second. I want to throw a monkey wrench a little bit here.
Sure.
Nothing to do. They did a reboot of Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I know they did.
Very good series.
Oh,
I
Bel-Air,
enjoyed it.
I saw some of it. I didn't see a lot, but it was very
Dark.
I would say a little more realistic. I get what you're saying by dark, but I would say more realistic. Like everything you remember from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, do not associate it with Bel Air. The best way to put it is the original is Fresh Prince. This update is Bel Air. That's the best way I can describe it.
So I want to throw this is monkey wrench. If you, I don't remember if you, I don't know how far you watched it. I think I only watched 2 seasons of it. There's one part of it that the new Uncle Phil, I'm going to mention like that, in Bel Air, his brothers from his fraternity did this fraternity dance. I guess it's that I'm not sure what it's called. And please correct me if I'm wrong, Anton, because I know you know a little more about this. It seems like it was a black fraternity. Am I wrong here?
Yeah.
It showed that more to light versus any the other shows. That again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen the other one, so I don't want to.
Because the actor, because one of the fraternity, the emphasis was Alpha Phi Alpha, and if I remember reading, I remember the actor who played Uncle Phil is an Alpha. He is an actual member. I think he just became. While in the process of filming, I think he crossed. I think he went through grad chapter to become a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. So I believe they had an undergrad chapter prior from one of the schools out in California. I don't know which school, maybe USC, maybe UCLA. I really don't want to speculate on that, but those were actual members of Alpha Phi Alpha that was stepping in the show. And I think they were able to get permission to get this one particular chapter to be part of the show, because a lot of these organizations are very protective of their letters and their colors. And if you ever remember the movie Stomp the Yard, they had 2 separate trailers. The first trailer, when they showed them in the cafeteria, you saw that group that were alphas. You saw their letters. You saw their letters, their colors, their crests, everything. Then they redid that trailer. You saw the same group, but you didn't see any reference to Alpha Phi Alpha. And I remember in the movie, the organizations were like, you can use our colors, you can use anything associated that basically says it's us, but you can't use the name of the organizations and you can't use the letters of the organizations. So basically, when you looked at the colors of the organizations that were part of the competition in the movie, you already had an idea of which organizations they were based on that.
I'm gonna ask you a question here with these fraternities, the letters, the logos, all that stuff. Is that copyrighted and they own rights to that stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all it's copyright and trademarked. And they're very, very, they're very protective of these organizations. And the one organization that's of the 9, I can honestly tell you that's very protective. It's the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the green and pink.
Yep.
Most retailers, I found some retailers through on social media where they're selling like D9 paraphernalia. All the organizations that that you're not going to see are the AKAs. And I remember one site on Instagram, one page on Instagram that was selling that was selling D9 paraphernalia. It showed everyone, but under it was quoted, cannot show items associated with AKA with AKA. So you saw everything from the other 8 organizations, the Masons, the Eastern Stars. I think they had stuff for Groove and Swing, but you didn't see anything associated. You didn't see no green, no pink. And they're very, very selective in their stuff when it's put out there in every way. And they own, and also, and you go to any college campus too. And Paul, I think your daughters are AKAs.
2 of them, yeah.
They never wear their colors casually. The only
No.
time you may see them wear their colors is for a very formal event, whether it's a
Yeah.
boule, whether it's a new line that's crossing, anything like that. But other than that, you're never going to see them wearing their colors socially in any way, shape, or form. They're never going to
Yeah.
wear their
Not even
jacket.
like tote bags or
Nah,
purses or
nah,
whatever. That's typically for those events. But yeah, it's
nah.
not generally meant
And
to.
I remember one time I actually spotted an AKA on campus. She was helping a friend of mine out with a situation with their dormitory, and I knew she was an AKA because she wore a necklace that said 1908 on it, and that's the
Mm,
year
they were
that's the
founded.
year Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority was founded, and
Mm,
she was very shocked that I knew.
mm. Although I'll see some like I've seen some that have like an umbrella. I mean,
Hmm.
if it's a casual thing like an umbrella, I'll see sometimes or a
Yeah,
tote bag.
you'll see a
Little
tote
things
bag.
here and there,
Yeah,
but
a tote
not.
bag, an
Yeah,
umbrella, maybe a keychain, things like that.
exactly. But
But
it's not supposed. Yeah, it's not flared
jackets,
out. Yeah.
sweatshirts, anything like that, 99% of the time, it's a big formal event. The only time you may know someone's an AKA, either they'll wear something like that with those numbers on it, or you're just going to see him wearing something that's
Right.
green and pink.
Or if it's an open like fraternity, if it's like an open college day or something like that,
Yeah,
like Rutgers used to have
doing
Unity
rush,
Day
yeah,
every year, and
doing rush
people,
and everything else. Yeah,
everybody would be out there wearing their fraternity sorority stuff.
yeah.
So, and even today, homecoming at Rutgers, they'll have the tent set up on Livingston campus.
Hmm.
Everybody has a tent up, and everybody's kind of rocking their stuff there also. So there are events outside of the group events that they will show up for in their stuff. If it's generally known that the council, if you will,
Right,
is meeting.
right. Other than that, that's about it. And they're very, like I said, they're very protective of their stuff.
All right, I got one for you guys now. All
All
right,
right.
Growing Pains versus Full House.
Ooh.
Wow.
Um, I would probably pick Growing Pains because to the points that Anton said earlier, I think it was just a much more serious kind of show. Not to say that Full House didn't deal with certain themes or what have you, but it just seemed like it almost now. When did 3 Men and a Baby come out?
I
Did that come
think
out
that
before or
was
after?
I think that came out around that time. It was definitely in the 80s. I think it was within
Yeah, it's
that
almost
time
like is
period.
that Full House was almost kind of like of a spin-off of a spin-off of that show. Um
I
but
thought it
I
was
would
My
say
Two Dads. I thought it was My
yeah.
Two Dads.
Yeah, but was the but the 3 Men Bed that was like Michael Keaton and it was the guy from Cheers and I forget
Actually, 3 Men a Baby, if I remember, was Steve Gutenberg, Tom Selleck. I'm trying to remember who the third was.
wasn't it the guy from Cheers?
Oh, you talking about Ted Danson? I
Yeah,
don't think it
wasn't
was
he?
Ted Danson. Hold on, hold on. Where's my
I thought it was one of those guys. But
uh
yeah, I would say show in and show out. I thought that but again, and my is interesting because this is a Full House. Like my girls grew up watching Full House. Again, that's just one of those shows that they just were hooked in, and they just appreciated the show every week. They loved Jesse. He was like the
Yeah, it was Ted
heartthrob.
Danson. You're right. It was Ted
Yeah,
Danson. It was Ted
yeah. So
Danson,
it was
Ted Danson, Tom Selleck, and Steve Gutenberg.
yeah, it was definitely it was a very popular show, and I think and they did like a reboot, right? Didn't they do a Fuller House? Didn't they
Fuller
do?
House,
Yes,
yeah.
on
Yeah,
Netflix
Yeah.
actually with the girl.
yeah. So they kind of brought a lot of people back to the show. But I would probably lean Growing Pains over Full House, although my daughters which they may choose the latter because I get they all that was like major. We
There's
had we
some
had
things
DVDs. We had I think we had whole seasons of Full House on DVD. I think at one point.
Yeah.
with Full House. There are some scenes I could relate as a Greek because Jesse was a real Greek and
Yeah,
he
Oh yeah,
played
John
as a
Stamos.
Greek in there. When Papu, Grandpa, showed up and he passed away, how emotional and how he got, I felt that pain.
Mhm.
Wow.
I teared up on that. I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't get me as much anymore, but when I was a young adult, that got to me because went through that with my grandmother. I went through the pain. I
Mm,
went through, flying her overseas to bury her. Like my
okay.
mom literally flew her overseas to bury her in her homeland. So, and that got to me personally.
You could
Mm.
definitely relate. I think the one thing about Full House that was definitely different, it was one of the first shows where you had a single father that was a widower. Because you rarely
Good
like
point.
Well, but they have My Three Sons. Wasn't that guy with her?
I think so, but
Yeah.
back then it wasn't really I don't know. Like, yeah, I think so, but it was never really that. It was different at that time period because I think My Three Sons came out in the 50s and the 60s, I think.
Hmm.
But you rarely heard much about that later on. And what made it different with Full House is here you have a single father who lost his wife and he's raising three girls. And now he has the help of his brother-in-law, his late wife's brother, and his best friend.
Hmm.
John Stamos and Dave Coulier working with Bob Saget.
Hmm.
And, you know, the challenges and the difficulties that came with that. This was a new
Yeah.
here's a new situation. Father of three, lost his wife. He has his late wife's brother and friend helping him raise his daughters. And I think they took, and I guess what it was when you see that, they kind of took what they saw in Three Men and a Baby and kind of put it in there. So you saw a little bit of the fun, but you did see a little bit of the serious as well at the same time.
Yeah. And credit to those guys also because again that's a totally trust me having three daughters that is a totally different dynamic versus having sons. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because at some point you gotta bathe them, and then there's a cutoff, right? I mean, there's a time
Exactly.
when my wife was like, okay, look, you go in there with them because and whatever that age is, I don't even know if we define it was like a natural kind of transition to where my wife would, but I would have to go and have to bathe my daughters every day or something, or do certain things with them that it's difficult, or at least for a lot of fathers, especially with the way things are now, everything's so sensitive that they were able to cover. But to show dads being able to raise daughters, I think that is certainly a very positive image. Certainly for those times. So I'll definitely give the show credit for that.
But
Yeah.
also, you have to also throw the monkey wrench in there. Is that some parts he couldn't handle it because the makeup, dressed in a certain way.
Mhm.
That's where and Jessica came in before she was just Jessica, his co-host.
Yeah,
Right.
She jumped in and helped him a little bit. Listen, back off. I'm a woman. I know how to handle this.
yeah,
I got
How
this.
yeah,
Right.
she needs to dress and all this stuff, and that worked well. And it was dramatic because you have the middle one, Stephanie, I believe I'm not
Stephanie,
mistaken.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she felt left out because she wasn't the baby, she wasn't the
The
oldest,
middle
and
child
it was,
syndrome.
Okay, Jan
oh
Brady.
Yeah.
yeah, she was always acting out if you remember on the
She was
show.
crying for attention, and I'm the
Exactly.
middle of three, so I definitely get that. I didn't act out or anything else, but I could definitely relate because you're trying to figure out where you fit in. You're being told to be like the older one, and at the same time set an example for the younger one. And it's like, how do you do that?
Can't win.
Yeah, it can be a challenge at times. It can be a challenge being in the middle of three, but I can honestly say one thing that kind of helped me deal with that was my mom because she was also a middle child. She was
Yeah,
also that I think would definitely help in that aspect. But when you saw that on the show, those little dynamics, those challenges, those difficulties, it's not easy. It's not. And I think for the fact that, here's a father you have a father that's doing this, that's what I think what really sticks with people because you really hear about that with a father trying to raise their daughters. And because what's the first thing you're going to hear? You better find somebody. I mean, yeah, but you got to have someone to help you raise these girls and everything else, and that's not always easy. It's not.
And the worst part when he started dating, they were trying to blackmail the poor guy. I'm like, shit, let him get. He's trying to get cheeks, girls. You're cock blocking him.
But at the same time, it was the girls were still grieving the loss of their mother, and he was trying to move forward with his life as well. It's like, yes, I'm always going to be their dad, but also I think it's time for me to move forward, and that's not always an easy thing to do. It's
Mhm.
not,
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
oof.
All right. I have one more for you guys. All right.
Okay.
And the last one is going to be a royal monkey wrench. Boy Meets World versus Home Improvement.
You know what? Oh my god! You really had
I
to.
wish I wish you would have
I have.
chose another one. Nah, I like Boy Meets World,
Mhm.
but I kind of like to compare more apples to apples.
Okay.
Oh my
Um,
god!
I would say Wonder Years
Ooh,
versus Boy Meets World.
How about we do both?
coming of
Okay.
age. Coming of age.
That's what I'm saying. That I mean, Home Improvement. That's kind of like a totally different family dynamic, and
Right.
and that sort of thing. So that's why I thought Boy Meets World would be more appropriate, as I like to kind of have comparisons like that. But I would certainly choose the Wonder Years. One, because of the period. I loved the 70s. I mean, as far as like that whole Vietnam, post Vietnam era, the 70s, and the coming of age in that particular time. I think always fascinated me. And I just found myself watching that show more on a regular basis. Boy Meets World seemed to be definitely a little bit more modern, bit more to the times. But the fact that they did like they did a specific timepiece, and those are hard. Like you've had shows like that, you've had MASH, you've had shows that are written and told within a certain timeline. And I just appreciate how Wonder Years kind of pulled that off, because you even saw in the show coming, I guess, from the late 60s into the 70s,
Right.
right? And you saw the changes that was happening, the changes in dress, the changes in clothing and music, and just that vibe that was going on. So I think I always found myself a little bit more aligned. And like I said, the Vietnam era, civil
Right.
rights, Vietnam, 70s, that kind of era is also one of my more fascinating times of history. So I think I always kind of leaned and gravitated towards that show versus Boy Meets World. But again, that was certainly a good one as well. But I think both of them deal with that kind of coming of age. But Anton, you know you can
Yeah,
talk about it.
definitely. I think, and I know why you picked both those shows.
Why is that? Go ahead. I want to hear this.
Who
I'm
were
done.
the who were the lead actors on both those shows?
Oh, the it's the
Bless you.
same.
Thank you.
Yeah, the same. No, but I think they were brothers, right?
Fred
Well,
Savage was on the Wonder Years.
yeah.
His brother Ben was on Boy Meets
Vince.
World.
Yeah. I honestly I didn't pick it for that reason. In fact, honestly I forgot about that. To be totally honest with you, I had you. But you're right. You just remind. But that's not why I picked the shows. Like I said, I think they both did a great job of, again, telling that coming of age story
Yeah.
within a family dynamic and also within a culture that's changing. So I really appreciated the how they were able to, and over time, I mean, the fact that the shows ran for several years,
Yeah.
they were able to kind of really sort of gradually put it together. It wasn't like 5 years later, it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's grown up or whatever.
Like,
I thought they did a good job of maturing the shows over time.
I think the one thing I could say Boy Meets World, because I can relate to the one aspect of the show,
Hmm.
and where you have students who literally grow up together.
Yeah.
And that was something that I remember when I was growing up. I'm with the Catholic school, so everyone in my class, basically, we were all, with the exception of a couple of people, we were all born in the same calendar year, and we literally grew up together from first grade to eighth grade. And for a good number of us, we had our sacraments together. We
Mhm.
had our first communions together. We had our confirmations together. you know. And even though some of us went to high school and everything, we still found a way to stay in touch.
Right.
And I can honestly say I still remember 3 guys that I graduated with from both grammar school and high school.
Mhm.
And I had my first communion with 2 of them. I had my confirmation with the 3 of them. And I think that's the one thing I've always liked about Boy Meets World is you have that same network of people and you going through those same moments at the same time, the highs and the lows, you
Mhm.
know? And I can definitely relate to that.
Mhm.
I can relate to that. My brother can relate to that. My sister, a lot of my cousins, we can all relate to being in that one community, going to school, going through those major steps, and you recognize certain faces that are going through it with you at the same time in the same places.
Mhm.
And that's rare now. It really is for various reasons. And
Yeah.
that's why I could definitely relate to Boy Meets World because I can relate to going through those stages.
Mhm.
And like in the beginning, all of them being taught by the same teacher. And here they are sometime later, all grown up. And the way the show ended, and see them all in that classroom for one last time together.
Mhm.
And then seeing Mr. Fiend saying, despite the fact the way he was towards all of them, he played a role in their lives too, because he
Mhm.
saw them grow up.
Mhm.
And even though they all grew up, they still found ways to connect back to him.
Mhm.
One thing I did like about the ending of the series is how emotional that scene was.
Yeah,
If you weren't a fan, Paul, you would teared up.
yeah,
It was a tearjerker. No
Yeah.
way around it. And
Mhm.
you saw the passion in his voice as an actor and as a teacher, a person who was involved in their lives. This,
Mhm.
you know, I love you all in the end. And when everybody
hmm
was gone, just him by himself.
Mhm.
And when they, and I want to this, I want to ask Anton because he watches more show than you did, Paul. The reboot didn't do justice to it. I felt.
Mhm.
I didn't see the Girl Meets World. I heard that was. Whew.
Yeah, I mean sometimes something's just left as is, but
Yeah,
So here's my
studios always
issue with
looking
it.
to kind of milk
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So at first they realized they had a disasters in the hand. So they start to backpedal and start bringing old cast members in.
yeah.
Corey, Matthews, all these
Topanga
people.
and everybody. Yeah, they brought
Yeah,
everybody back.
yeah,
Ben
even Jimmy.
Savage, Ryder Strong, like every familiar face and name that you remember from the
Correct.
original, they brought them back. And what sucked about the reboot is seeing the original cast almost overshadowed the current cast for this show.
But one part that they did justice to it is his brother. Man, I can't remember his brother's name right now. Um, he was going for mayor or something,
Yeah,
and this kid goes, "You should vote for him because I know him personally." And he goes, "Who the hell are you?" He's a good guy because he let me go when he was supposed to adopt me and put me in a good family instead. When I saw that, man, the emotions in me ran wild.
I think that was
Mhm.
Wolf. Was that Wilfred L? I think it was. Was that Wilfred L or Ryder Strong? I'm trying to remember which one it was, but
Hang on, let me see if I
it
can.
was. I just felt like it overshadowed the cast of the current show because it felt like you kept going down memory lane.
That's what it was. That's one thing I will definitely say. It was a battle, not to bring people back, but they did, and it hurt the series
Yeah.
and benefited at the same time. The direction they were going originally, first season, didn't go well at all. So that's why they
hmm
backpedaled.
I
And let me
think
ask you.
okay.
Go ahead. No,
I
no,
think
finish. Finish.
what they were trying to do, it was they were trying to blend the old show and the new show and showing like that period of transition, how you go from the old show to the new show.
I'm gonna push you back on that. Originally, they said they're not gonna bring all the staff members back in. Maybe the father, the brother, 1 or 2 episodes, and that's it.
Right.
They got such backlash back then, for that, and that's why they said, "Never mind, let's bring these guys in," because most people who watched it is our age group, people who grew up in it. But I want to ask Paul a question now. Wonder Years had a reboot himself.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, they say the black version of the show, which again, that was even more impressive because we lived that. I mean, if you grew up in the 60s and 70s, so everything that was in the show, I mean, I know for a lot of friends of mine, we were all, you're telling our side of the story, so to speak. So there was so much cultural, going back the music that was played in it. It was so relevant to us in our time. So I probably even related to that show more, but I didn't want to bring it up because we're talking about 80s, 90s stuff. So that's why I didn't go there. But that reboot I did think was good. And because again, it certainly had more cultural relevance to me. So I'll give it a kudos for that. But storyline was it better than the one from back in the day? I'll let people debate that. But certainly we could all see ourselves and go back in time, remember those times and the attitudes and the fashion and just everything that was a part of it. It was, certainly I appreciated the show for what it certainly, took me back to.
I think the one thing I heard about the new version of the Wonder Years, and I was like,
it's worth a watch. Yeah, you would definitely, yeah.
I saw it. I was like,
I didn't wish to watch it. It's on my list to watch because I'm curious if they did justice to the series, like Paul said they did. But the next one I got for you guys, Paul's gonna curse me out in his head right now. Star Trek Next Generation versus Star Trek Enterprise. I'm sorry, Voyager. I apologize.
I mean, I honestly, I appreciated both shows. I mean, Voyager, I don't know if it gets necessarily a lot of the credit. I've seen a lot of rankings, and it's kind of always been kind of middle tier compared to the other shows. I think that the first year of TNG was basically all they did was just reboot old 60s episodes, right? I mean the earlier parts of the show was really there, but I think when they expanded their universe a bit, when you brought in the Dominion and you brought in
Dominion, you brought in the Ferengis, you brought in all these other groups.
Yeah, who's the Cardassians?
Kardashians, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they when they opened up their world, I think they found their footing. But I think off the rip, even in the first episode, they brought back Dr. McCoy, who was like 137 years old at the time. So again, they tried to kind of do that handover, and a lot of those early episodes were simply retells of the original episodes.
Honestly, I don't know if you could use Next Generation for this comparison. I think the one show that actually works as a comparison to Voyager would be Deep Space Nine.
That was my next one. Don't worry, we're going there soon.
Okay.
But I want to see your side of it first, Anton. I was off. You see in a minute.
Okay, I've actually was more of a fan. Voyager was okay. I liked the premise. What they did was you had Starfleet and you had the Maquis, two separate crews that were on the far side of the universe, and they had to work together to get home. You never would have thought that would happen. Could mortal enemies who had different ideas and philosophies, work together as one crew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely something unheard of at the time. I've always been a fan of Next Generation because I feel like it was kind of like the passing of the baton, but I think it took a long time for it to finally say, what?
It had to find its own voice.
Exactly.
And be willing to do that. Cause it's like at the time, because even while I was in college, 1987, that was a nightly ritual. It was Star Trek at 11 o'clock at night every night. So I mean, we were talking about the original series. So when it first came out, we were like, is this going to be good? Is this really going to be worth our time watching this? So I think some of us came into it skeptical because we always had that nightly ritual where we were up at 11:30 at midnight watching Star Trek. So again, they had a lot to live up to, and this is at the time when Star Trek really, I mean, obviously it really grew in syndication,
Yep.
and it was like I said, it was the staple. So it's hard to follow that. But I think once they and I don't know if Rick Berman, if he was involved in the from the outset of the show, but I think once they were like they kind of established their own identity, I think they were really able to really have some very original storylines and not think that they have to keep going back. You saw less references to the old Enterprise crew, to Captain
Right.
Kirk and whatnot. But even for the movie that they came out with, Generations, they still had to lean on the Enterprise crew. It's almost like they were afraid to just let go of those guys, and they had to bring back Kirk and whatnot. And
I think that movie was definitely the handing of the baton.
Yeah.
Generations was definitely the handing of baton, and then First Contact was that.
Now
it's time for you guys. Now it's time for you guys to walk on your own. Now it's time to take off the training wheels.
Yeah, that opening sequence to the movie is still one of the best ever. Like in any space sci-fi movie I've ever seen, that opening scene with the battle with the Borg was just awesome.
Oh, First Contact, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was one of the best ones. I'm not
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. I'm always been
you can't go wrong with any kind of Borg battle. Borg has always been the one character they could not ever win against.
Right.
They tried.
The one thing I remember, but the one cool thing I liked in First Contact was seeing Worf at the head, sitting on the bridge of the Defiant, and everything that's happening. He's in the control panel, and then he does the typical Klingon response. Perhaps today is the day to die. Yes.
Yeah.
And when you hear, and then he says, "Prepare for ramming speed." And I'm like, yep, that's a Klingon.
Yeah.
He's ready to fight to the death.
Yeah.
And remember what happened to her as he's going rampant? He gets teleported to the Enterprise, and number one goes, "Cute little ship." He goes, "Cute little ship."
And that's the one part I like, because Worf and Riker have always had this thing against each other, but there was also a mutual respect with each other as well.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Fun fact, and I met the actor from Next Generation, number one, what's his name?
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, he's a fucking dick. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
He's maybe just caught him on a bad day.
Actually, I know a lot of people met him. Everybody says he's a dick.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, he's not a friendly person. No. Okay, let's get Deep Space Nine in here really fast. I wasn't a fan of it. I personally think it was past the prime of it. I'm gonna put it in last place personally.
Really?
Last
I'm the
place.
judge.
No, DS9.
Wow.
Never liked it, bro.
Really?
No. Yeah.
Honestly, you got to put it up there. Reason being is because DS9, no one expected DS9 to be successful. And I actually found this online. They were talking about how DS9 did much better than people expected. Everybody knew Gene Roddenberry had this template on how to do the movies and the series. And you had to follow, and you had to follow this template. If you went against the template, then you were doing something wrong. And at the same time period when you had Next Generations and when they were finishing off, you had DS9 and you had Voyager. And from what I was reading, they were focusing a lot on Voyager to be successful. They really weren't paying attention to DS9. So the showrunner, from what I heard, the showrunner and the writers, they were like, well, if they're not expecting us to do anything, they got rid of the blueprint and said, you know what, we're going to try something totally different. We're going to just say, we're going to look at this blueprint Gene Roddenberry set up, and we're just going to go against it in every way. And that's what they did. DS9 was gritty. It was ugly. It was raw, but it was very realistic. And that's why I think it's a lot better than Voyager in that aspect. I put DS9.
And I gotta say that A.V. Brooks. I remember from Man Called Hawk, right? I mean, that was like, so you gotta imagine a Man Called Hawk as a Starfleet officer, but Cisco is probably my third favorite captain. I mean, obviously I got Captain Kirk and whatnot. Actually, probably second. I would probably put
Honestly, I
Cisco
put him
over
up top.
Picard.
I put him up
I
top.
yeah.
Hey, you got to give him that love. He's a Rutgers guy too.
Absolutely. He spoke at my my graduation. He was the
Really?
graduation
I
speaker.
met
Yeah.
him at my brother's graduation. My brother graduated in 2003. I met him there, but the
Wow.
guest speaker was Shirley Ralph.
Okay. Oh yeah. I remember that because that was live stream. So I
Yeah.
remember.
So I put DS9 up there because of the fact that it showed one avenue of the Star Trek universe that they never talked about. How ugly it can get, how gritty it can get, how raw
Yeah.
it can get. You know, the situation between the Bajorians and the Kardashians,
Right.
their never-ending feud in their situation, and literally how Starfleet literally had to play peacemaker between both. So
Right.
I'm always gonna. And when you look at a lot of their episodes, they did the one thing that most of the other series never did. The part, if you remember, when Cisco, Dax, and Bashir went back in time
Mhm.
into the early 21st century,
Yeah.
they addressed issues that you rarely heard about within the Star Trek universe: racism, sexism,
Mhm.
the disparities, classism, like all the issues that were going on in the time when the show was done. They never had a problem talking about it. They
Yeah.
never had a problem addressing it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "That's not the thing." Gene
Well, I
Roddenberry.
don't know if that's fair. I mean, the original series, and I forget the name of the episode, but the one where they had Frank Ocean in it, and he was like half his face was black and the other half was white,
Oh,
and they
okay.
were going back and forth with each other. I mean, that was a very powerful
Message.
episode because you saw these guys and they looked, to our eyes, looked very identical. And the guy boldly said, "Well, you can clearly see he looks different from me. His half of his face is black and his is white. Mine is the other way around. Clearly, we're different." And it was just such irony in the episode over that. So I think the original series, I think they went places with exploring difficult issues of the day. The Nazis,
Right.
for example, that was explored several times. So I think Gene, I think he was pretty bold in his original concepts as well. But you're right though. But certainly continuing that tradition in Star Trek, I think they were good in doing that. But I would probably, I would probably pick D Space Nine over Voyager, because, like you said, because of the greatness of the show. And then you found out during the show, like even like I said, the Kardashians and the other,
Bajorans.
but there was a bigger enemy, right?
Right.
The whole the Dominion or whatever, like.
Dominion, yep.
Yeah, so it was like the pawn, like really everybody was like a pawn in their chess game. And like every year it just got deeper and deeper in terms of like who's really behind the scenes here.
Who's really pulling
And
the strings?
exactly. And then you were trying to think, well, how would they handle like the Borg? Like that's like a whole totally different. I don't know if they ever had a confrontation, but you wonder if the Borg got involved in that and how would the Dominion handle those guys or something.
Right.
So yeah, so they always took you back, and it just like it got the plot got thicker and thicker as you really started to see who the real players were, who were like really who were really running things.
Yeah. And honestly, I remember there was a survey they did on all-time great DS9 episodes, and my wife and I agree with the checklist, with the countdown they did. And if you really want to get the like how gritty it can get, the episode of episodes to watch for DS9, By the Pale Moonlight.
Mm.
You have to, that to me by far is like, how far are you willing to go?
Mm.
And that confrontation between Cisco and Garrick at Garrick's shop about how to bring the Kardashians on their side, not the Kardashians, the Romulans onto their side with the war against the Dominion. Like they were doing everything possible. And it was just like, and I think by far one of Avery Brooks' best performances.
Yeah.
He was
I like the one where he was I guess there was some rebels, there was some he was chasing after, and it got to a point where he was like willing to like destroy a planet, like an atmosphere or something like that, if he didn't turn himself in or whatever. And he was like, and everybody on the ship was looking at him. It's like, look, he's like, launch this stuff in the atmosphere. And they were telling him, if you do this, you're going to wipe out. He said, I don't care. It was almost like he became like a different person to finally get that guy to capitulate, to kind of give up or whatever. But
Right.
it was like how far Cisco was willing to go to kind of go after this thing. It was almost like out of character, and it was just the way it was played up by the crew. Even Warp was like, yo, this is, you're going too far with this or whatever. So I thought that was also a very powerful performance by Cisco in the series as well. So yeah, it was I thought it was certainly better, much better than average. I think any other Star Trek, I mean, if the template is going where no one's gone before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have a ship, you're gonna be encountering people on a weekly basis. I mean, I think that's kind of generic Star Trek, but having people come to you, I think is a totally different dynamic, and I think they pulled it off.
Yeah, that's what. But
listen, even I don't like the show. I think it was a good series for the IP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, before we get you guys into final thoughts, I gotta make two quick announcements before I lose my train of thought here. Number one, unfortunately, yesterday we lost a great actor. His name was Lance Reddick. I can't pronounce this. He was in John Wick. He was yeah, thank you. The guy who played the doorman, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying he died with natural causes. He was up there in age and everything. Unfortunately, we lost a great actor. Second announcement came to my radar. For years and years and years, it's been rumored about Highlander will be a reboot of the series. I think Highlander is one of the best series who comes to sword playing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But people already know this is for the time the movie came out, the technology wasn't there to push it as far as they wanted to till now. They've been trying to reboot this for years, but there's always some kind of hiccup, a show, a director, something. Finally, he's got greenlighted. And they're talking about they're finalizing a script soon, and they're going to be shooting by end of the year, hopefully.
Wow. So who's going to play Simon McLeod?
Oh, man, believe it or not, the guy who plays Superman.
Henry Cavill?
Yes.
Are you serious? You got to be kidding me, bro.
He got excited fast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, my God.
Is that good or bad for you?
Wow. That's some heavy shoes to fill. Christopher Lambert, everyone's always going to remember Christopher Lambert as Simon McLeod or Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. Everyone's going to remember, always going to remember him. When you watch the original Highlander, Christopher Lambert, Clancy Brown, Sean Connery, that's heavy, and that's a lot to live up to. And I'm hoping try to follow the same template from the original, but give them an opportunity to set their own identity.
That's what they're saying. They're saying now, from the articles I read and watched, they're going to follow a lot of the same footprint they did the original, but they're going to do things differently. They're able to push the envelope a little further this time.
Okay.
So before, if you remember, the Watchers really weren't talked about in the first movie as much.
Right.
I think they started talking to him like an end game, like towards the end.
Yeah.
Was it Endgame or was it the movie called the last one?
I think it was Endgame, Highlander Endgame, because I think Mary Van Peebles was in it also, if I remember.
Yeah,
I think that was the last one.
There are going to be talking a lot about the Watchers this time. They are going to talk about these guys going through all these emotions, losing wife after wife, people they love. They're also going to talk about the Highlander. Connor, was it Connor the first one? Or Connor MacLeod. He was friend with another, like the black dude. He was friends. He saw me either having a drink on the bridge. They're going to put him a lot into the story too. Remember, back
he was in the second one. He was in the Quickening. That's right.
Yeah, 80s, right? Remember correctly?
It was in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie came out in the 80s. The technology wasn't there. People would not sit more than an hour back then to watch a movie. Now that in 2026, you're able to sit 2 hours to watch a movie very comfortably,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you're willing to do that too now. So they can push the envelope a lot further than ever. And with the actor, I'm actually very happy with the actor because he played in The Witch, if you remember.
I
Who
never saw it.
really?
Yeah, in Netflix, because he has some source skill because he worked with sword before.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I know the movie you're talking about.
The Witch,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, The Witch, or something like that, whatever it's called. Um, so he has some serious source skill already. He really is looking forward to even develop that to the next level to show people, I got this. I can do better. So I think it's a good pick, and I don't say that very often. If you know me, guys know me,
Right.
I say that rarely when I do. But let's get in our final thoughts. Paul, I'll let you go first. I remember, and I'll let Anton go next.
Okay, okay. Well, I know we kind of went a little sort of off script tonight, but certainly it's always fun to talk about compare different shows or have a battle between shows and whatnot. We didn't get into a lot of them. I wanted to have had I known ahead of time, I would have picked categories. So we talked about sci-fi at the end. I would have said cop shows, comedies, family shows, or whatnot. I did the one show I didn't get. We probably what we should have compared was Growing Pains or went out to like a show like Family Ties, because that
Mm.
show I thought was interesting too, because that was one of the first shows, like if you remember, like All in the Family, those shows, it was always like the parents were the conservative ones and the kids were the liberal ones, whereas here you had a show where the parents were the hippies but they had this very conservative son, this kind of Republican son of Michael Keaton. So that would have been an interesting dynamic to say as well. But certainly a lot of sort of great content from the '80s and in the '90s. So so certainly maybe next time if we do a versus type of show, we pick ahead of time shows from different categories. So we got action, adventure, we got comedy, we got that sort of thing, and then try to break them down that way. That might be a bit more even more entertaining as well, because we had a couple people came in tonight, they weren't sure what they were walking into. But always good. Certainly to reminisce and certainly had fun tonight. And thanks for Anton for being a great sparring partner. Appreciate it.
I'm glad I got to be a part of this. This was a lot of fun. A lot of the shows that Paul, Peter, and I were talking about was stuff that we remember before streaming, before the internet and everything. And I think we learn to appreciate it now from a different standpoint, looking at it a little bit later because of the different technology and things that things you were able to do back then that unfortunately we were able to do now. I mean, a lot of the shows that we talked about and discussed and the comparisons, and yeah, this is something how we get a chance to do again sometime in the future. We forget a lot of these shows help establish pop culture for a lot of shows and movies that we're watching now. The music, the fashion, um, just the little things. And we don't even realize it until sometime later. Like we could be watching a show now and it may came from the precedent of something that came out 30, 40 years ago and not even realize it. You know, that's why I love doing this show because of the simple fact that it makes you think about and reminisce of the time period when they did a good amount of these shows. How were they able to do it? How were they able to tell, sell the story and make it seem real? And it was something that you know, it still stays with a lot of us. And I think the one great thing I like about looking at it, you learn to appreciate it more because you see it from a different dynamic. I mean, a lot of these shows that we talked about, some of the shows I was a teenager, some of it I was about to go into high school, or I was in high school. And looking back at it now, 30 plus years later, it's almost like, wow, I see it a little bit differently and I learned to appreciate it. And I'm glad we did this. And that's all I gotta say. Those some words worth thinking about.
All right, guys, thanks for coming up. Really fast. This won't be the first one. This is or the last one. This will be the obviously it is the first one. But we're gonna be doing another one. Probably like in 2, 3 weeks from now, something like that. I like to put this in the rotation. I'm still this is only the beta version. In other words, we're gonna tune this out a little more between me and the guys, so we can get a little more excitement and a little more arguments in it. But except that, I think actually for the first beta show, I think they did really well. Actually, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, especially just shooting off the cuff. You know, what I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we just came up with something and went with it. Apologies for the technical issues from my end and everything else. Now I hope make sure next time when we do something like this, everything is all good to go, and we'll have an idea of what, like Paul said, which ones are we gonna, which dynamics we're gonna use, which genres, and which will be perfect to discuss.
yeah, I think I have it. If we break it up by genre, I think that'll be like a more head to head.
Oh yeah,
Then you got all three of us are gonna put our heads together and make this little tune this out this show a little better because I like doing these battle shows a lot now. I think they're fun to be honest with you. We should consider doing a movie battle on this too at some point and go from there. But except that, guys, let's do a quick schedule update. For the rest of the week, we probably will have a show for Russian show on Friday. The other two guys, three guys, are be back in like probably 2 or 3 weeks. We're talking about right now. And on Saturday, excuse me, on Saturday, this show is. It should be. I should have done this sooner, and I apologize I've done it because this is. I don't know how I missed this in my radar, but we're doing it now. Is what if Darth Vader survived the Return of the Jedi? That is going to be a very deep conversation and a fun conversation, I believe. Because there are a bunch of theories out there, and let's see what we come up for. Paul, you want to take over for the gray areas for this week?
Yeah, so for the gray area for this Sunday, and also just want to thank everybody for last. So we had a very popular show last week dealing with again emotional versus physical cheating. Thank you, Anton, for being part of that conversation as well through the chat. Really interesting. This week we're going to be talking about fitness culture around the world, or the physical culture around the world. Just how different cultures treat fitness and the idea of fitness and what is the fitness ideal. We're going to explore that in the gray area this coming Sunday.
All right, great. And for next week, I'm still working on the schedule for next week. I'm gonna be uploading a lot of stuff, so keep your eyes open, guys. So to see which ones you want to tune in, which ones you just want to be a part of the chats, all that nice stuff. But as always, make sure you guys do me a favor, a big solid favor, and the guys will like it too. Of course, make sure you hit like, share, subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out in the day. And by the way, it's free. You don't get charged anything for that. So that's the benefit part. As always, I am the Spartan. He is Mr. President. He is my man, Anton. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.